Hello everyone. So in class we did a quick lecture on food chains, food webs, and trophic levels as kind of a follow-up to our Intro to Ecosystems lecture that we did the following time. So first thing we talked about was the difference between producers and consumers. So I want you to think P producers, P plants. These are organisms that get energy by making their own food. So plants do things like photosynthesis to be able to make their own food, take that light energy, change it into chemical energy, right? Versus consumers, on the other hand, are typically animals, and they get energy by eating other organisms. So we as humans are consumers because we cannot photosynthesize and stand in the sun and feel full. We have to eat things in order to get our energy and to get nutrients. So we talked about this example of Venus flytraps. Are they producers? Are they consumers? Well, they're plants, but then they also eat organisms. So we came to the conclusion that they can be both, right? So Venus flytraps are both producers and consumers. They still photosynthesize, but they tend to live in soils that are not very nutrient rich. So therefore, they came up with this adaptation to get their nutrients elsewhere from insects. So they are consumers in that regard as well. Um, the roles in the ecosystem that we talked about were this idea of producers versus consumers, and then we can break down consumers even further into herbivores, which eat plants, so the vegetarians of organisms, and carnivores, which eat only meat, omnivores, like a lot of humans are, which we eat both plants and animals, decomposers, and detrivores or detritivores. So you can, on your own, go ahead and watch these two quick videos about decomposers and detrivores. Basically, these two types of organisms are super important so that we can recycle nutrients in our ecosystem. So instead of just it being a chain, one to the other, it ends up going back to the bottom so that things like producers and plants can use more of the nutrients that have come back into the ecosystem. Cool. Then we talked about trophic levels. So trophic levels are just a big fancy way of saying the different steps in a food chain. So we have names for each of the steps based on how far away they are from the producers. So we start at the bottom with our producers. Those are plants, right? They make their own food. And then the things that eat producers, so the things that eat these types of plants, those are called primary consumers. Primary being first consumers. After that, the things that eat the primary consumers are called secondary consumers, and then so on. The tertiary consumers eat secondary consumers. And you'll notice in this diagram, we have a lot of these arrows that are pointing out. We lose a lot of heat as we go through each of the trophic levels, which becomes important later when we're talking about how much energy gets transferred, right? So here's all of that in kind of word form. Plants use photosynthesis for chemical energy, and then we have the different types of consumers. The first consumers, primary, the second consumers, the secondary, and then the third consumers, the tertiary. Fun fact, they can go higher than that. So like a fourth consumer would be called quaternary consumers. Fifth consumers, I think, are quinary or quintary consumers. But food chains don't often go super high. And we'll talk about that in a second. So here's kind of a very concrete example. We have the grass here is the producer. It's a plant, makes its own food. The rabbit, which eats the grass, is the primary consumer. The snake, which eats the rabbit, is a secondary consumer. And then the eagle, which is super badass and eats the snake, is the tertiary consumer. And we've got this, again, this idea of heat loss leaving each trophic level. And now we're starting to add in numbers. So if you can see producers, it says 10,000 kcal. That stands for kilocalories. And you notice the numbers get less and less as we go up. So this is what's known as the 10% rule. Okay, so unfortunately, nature is super inefficient. And what happens is as we go through each trophic level and as organisms get consumed and eaten, only 10% of the energy moves up from the previous level, which is why it's called the 10% rule. Cool. This is also the reason why we don't have food chains that go on and on and on and on forever, because by the time you get to the top, there's actually very little energy that gets transferred through and gets passed. Quick side note, the energy that we talk about is usually represented in units of kilocalories or joules. So kcal or capital J for joules. So if you are calculating your stuff, make sure you include these units in your work. So the way that we do this, the way that we calculate the 10% rule, is you can either take 10% of each number, you could multiply by 0.1, or you could divide by 10, right? Or the easy way, not even having to think about math in any particular way, is moving the decimal point over. So you have a number, let's say 10,000. 10,000.0, right, is what 10,000 is. If we move the decimal point over, that becomes 1000 or 1000. So that's how we get up to the grasshopper. And then if we move the decimal point over one more, that becomes the frog, which is 100 kilocalories. So moving the decimal, dividing by 10, or multiplying by 0.1, same thing. Okay, so then we did a little bit of practice here. If the primary consumer had 9,248 kilocalories of energy available, how much would the producer have? So let's start by this. We have in our trophic levels, producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. So if we're going from producer to primary consumer, producer should have more energy, right? So we need to move the decimal point over to make the number bigger. So the amount of energy available for producers would be 92,480 kilocalories. And then if we move up and we keep going, primary, secondary, tertiary, we move the decimal point over 2 places to the left, we find out that the tertiary consumer only has 92.48 kilocalories of energy. So again, it dissipates very, very quickly. A lot of it is lost through heat. So then we talked about how things get a little bit more complicated in food webs, and here's why. It's because now you've got a bunch of food chains interacting together, and like I mentioned before, things don't fit nicely into categories, right? You might have something like, for example, this frog is a secondary consumer and a tertiary consumer, depending on which arrows you follow, right? The eagle might be different as well. The way that you find a food chain is you start with a producer. So let's say we start with the mangoes down at the bottom right, and then we make our way up a chain. So I'm going to go with the mangoes to the fruit fly to the thrush to the eagle, and that would be considered one food chain. Or another food chain might be the lavenders to the butterfly to the frog to the python to the eagle, right? So I'm just following the arrows as we go. And then the same thing with energy. You can still calculate it based on a food web. You just have to figure out which one is the producer, primary consumer, and so on. Cool. Quick side note that I forgot to mention earlier was that pay attention to which way the arrows are pointing, because the direction of the arrows does matter. The arrows show where the energy is going. So for example, the carrots are giving their energy to the rabbits because the rabbits are eating the carrots and the rabbits are getting all of the energy from the carrots, right? So that's why the arrow is pointed to the rabbits, is because the energy is going up to the rabbits. Cool. And then the last thing we talked about here was these 3 ecological pyramids. So we have the pyramid of energy, the pyramid of biomass, and the pyramid of numbers. So the main thing I wanted to point out to y'all is if we are lower on the trophic level, so if we're talking about producers, right, the lowest level of our trophic levels, we generally have more energy from them because we haven't lost a ton yet. They have more biomass, and they are just generally like, we have more of them. There are higher numbers. So this is pretty true in terms of trends in trophic levels. And the reason why I brought this up is because I posed this question: should humans eat lower on the food chain? Because, theoretically speaking, it is way more efficient for us to eat things like producers and primary consumers because not a lot of the energy has been lost yet, right? Because of that 10% rule. So is it worth it to eat lower on the food chain? Should we be eating more vegetables and plants because it's more energy efficient for us? So that was kind of where I left off with on this lecture, and then your goal was to complete the FoodWebs Interactive here as your assignment. So let me know if you have any questions on this, but otherwise, thanks for listening.